So what percentage of parents would take their kids out of state education if they could afford to? The answer is 57%.
Thank you very much. You're watching The Right Stuff with Anne, Diamond, Scott Mills and our special guest Janet Street-Porter. In a little while, Janet's going to take us through the rest of today's headlines. But first, what does the panel make of Ed Balls' dream of a Bill of Rights for state school pupils? You can email your thoughts to rightstuff@5.tv and Kirsty will mark you down for poor spelling and grammar. That's not included in the Charter, by the way. This Charter is part of a new education bill to be unveiled in the Queen's speech today. It's intended to give pupils and parents some cast-iron guarantees, 38 in all. These include one-to-one tuition for pupils struggling with the basics, 5 hours of PE every week, the right to high-quality cultural activities, and a promise that all schools will promote healthy eating, blah, blah, blah. Parents will be guaranteed the right to up-to-date online information on their child's achievements, behaviour and attendance, as well as the right to help shape school policies. And you'll be able to complain to an ombudsman if you think your child's school is failing. This is nothing more than a Windsors Charter, say critics. It will open the floodgates to complaints from litigious parents and it'll mean more work for hard-pressed school heads. Is this charter needed? I mean, shouldn't schools be striving to provide a first-class education anyway? And I noticed there's nothing in the charter to guarantee pupils won't have to study in run-down temporary buildings with leaky roofs, and there are plenty of them around. Anne, is it needed?
No, I think it's just going to add another layer of bureaucracy. In fact, it's like bringing lawyers into the classroom now, isn't it? The only people who are going to profit from this are lawyers, as far as I can see. It's not. Yes, it's promising what the government is already promising. They want a first-class education for every child in this country. That's a very good promise. But this isn't going to help deliver it. It's simply going to help you make a fuss about it if you think you are being shortchanged.
You don't think that, in turn, will lead to more pressure on
No, the thing that will really
heads?
help deliver it is allowing parents more freedom of choice so that they can vote with their feet. And if one school isn't living up to their promises and actually isn't doing their kids any good, then make it more easy to go find a school that will. That's the only thing that's going to make a difference. But this is about box ticking. This is just going to sound good in the Queen's speech. It's not actually going to deliver anything, as far as I can see.
Scott?
And could create a mountain of work for the people who are already trying to run the
This
school.
it's more centralised government telling schools how they should
And teachers becoming defensive, and teachers becoming defensive.
And every school will have to meet this guarantee, which means the government will have to provide those means to meet the guarantee. I think it's...
I can only imagine, Janet, how much in favour of this you will be, because it sounds very much like, like having another mum again, doesn't it?
Two little-known facts. First of all, I did a TV series for 5 where I taught in a primary school. I taught the national curriculum. So I experienced all the interference from government at first hand. And secondly, my partner of the last 11 years, long-suffering Peter, is a teacher in a school for special needs. Now, all children have a right to good education. They don't need this document. This should have been, taken as read anyway. Isn't it typical of the incredibly pompous, self-important Ed Balls that he has to come up with this ludicrous document? Because when we send our children to school, we want them to be able, by the time they are 11, to read, write and do basic mathematics. And in the numeracy and literacy standards of Western Europe, we're right down the bottom. And when Tony Blair said his mantra was education, 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 all I can say is, over a decade down the line, oh, hang on, we're putting our hands up. It's all got to be restated all over again. So all children have ever needed is education. Teachers should be better paid. School buildings should be fit for purpose, and head teachers should be given the freedom to teach in a way that gets the best from every child. You don't need all this stuff. It drives me mad. This is so indicative of the culture that we now live in, where you've got targets, objectives. Can you imagine the poor teachers, when they get this bloody charter, they're going to have to fill in every day?
Can I just say, in the interest of political balance, I think it's a damn fine idea.
Well, you can say that, but I bet deep down, Matthew, you think it's a pile of doo-doo like everybody else around this table.
I want to know why pupils get a Bill of Rights, right? But British citizens don't. We don't have a constitution. It's written down. We don't have any Bill of Rights.
There's no need for children to have a Bill of Rights. You know, we've gone far down this road of talking about children's rights. Children's rights, from the minute they're born, is to have a decent life, and we owe it to them to educate them so that they can experience life in a productive way. And it seems to me, quite frankly, we're failing at that.
There we go. First, the rest of today's headlines. What have you got, Janet?
I think the most important story is on the front page of The Guardian, and it says that the Tories they plan to kill off all the bills that are going to be in the Queen's speech today. Now, this is ridiculous, really.
Do you think there should be a Queen's speech?
I do. I like the idea. I actually think that it's a time in the life of a parliament where, you know, the pageantry and everything serves a purpose because it underlines the fact that this is a serious institution. I would not do away with all the pageantry.
Right,
I'd do away with some of the stockings.
But it is
and all
only
the silly
70
titles.
days of administration we're going to get in this session. 70 days.
I
max.
know, and what we're seeing now are bills put into the Queen's speech by the Labour Party, by Labour in government, as electioneering, really. I mean, they're trying to write a pre-manifesto manifesto, aren't they? Because there's not really a hope in hell of a lot of these.
What's in there?
Well, there's all stuff like attacks on the internet. There's going to be more care for old people. They're going to really, you know, they're obviously looking at areas of the electorate where they can score a quick hit with, you know, new controls on. They're going to place new controls on the parents of antisocial children. Obviously, that's a really hot subject.
Anything in there about a free fiver for anyone who votes Labour?
No, funnily enough.
It's a really obvious policy direction, that one.
Funnily not that. But you see, when the Lords can spend as long as 7 weeks looking at all these bills, so given the limited amount of time, very little of what's in the Queen's speech today will really go through Parliament and become law.
Indeed.
So, in a way, you could argue that we want to have a Queen's speech because there is a serious purpose, but given the short period before an election, it's an incredible waste of time and money. It's another example of a way that Parliament isn't working very efficiently at the moment, and there's been an enormous amount of criticism about how Parliament's run.
Well said. OK, anything else?
Right, I've attracted to this story in The Independent. Now, you remember the other week that Gordon Brown went on the website Mumsnet and discussed online with mums all over Britain various subjects. And we all know that human interaction isn't his forte. Let's be tactful. But you might have thought that tapping at a keyboard and communicating through a keyboard online, you could get it right. But, you know, there was the thing about the biscuit.
What's your favourite biscuit, Prime Minister?
Which they asked him, didn't they, about a dozen times, mums up and down Britain asked a perfectly innocent question, what's your favourite biscuit?
And he couldn't answer it, could he?
Couldn't answer it. Couldn't answer it. Needed to have a pamphlet written about it, probably. And
5 days. I think it was 5 days before he
days.
got a henchman to contact Mumsnet and said, the Prime Minister's, for much consideration, has deemed he's a big fan of chocolate hobnobs, but he's also quite liked mixed teas.
I know, because when we watch programmes like In the Thick of It, you think, oh, surely it's not this ridiculous. It is even more ridiculous. Anyway, the reason why David Cameron is tomorrow is going to spend an hour online talking to all the mums on Mumsnet is because in the coming election, it's the women's vote that's really up for grabs. And all the experts and the pollsters say it's the middle-class mum with 2 small kids who's at home, who uses the internet, who all the politicians are out to woo.
See, I just got this completely wrong. I thought it was because David Cameron was really up for Gary Baldies, and I thought he saw this as a great opportunity to move an old-fashioned biscuit.
There's a really good reason why David Cameron's going on it. It's because traditionally the Tories were known as the nasty party, and he's been very cleverly rebranding them. He's played down his public school background. In fact, half the cabinet went to swanky schools. He's Dave. He's going to be Dave online, and he's going to be, you know, Dave your mate.
OK.
Chat room Dave. So I'm kind of fascinated by it. And even if I have to have a child by tomorrow, which is going to be a bit of a miracle birth, I might try and have a baby by tomorrow so I can go online as a mum, cyber mum, miracle mum it'll be.
What next?
Another story from The Independent, that Swindon is going to be the first town in Britain offering free wireless internet access for all 181,000 inhabitants. That is good, isn't it?
That's good,
Is that going to make us all want to move to Swindon?
No.
Possibly.
Maybe.
I went there, actually, I was in Swindon 2 Saturdays ago. I did a debate for the National Trust. Got very complicated.
How can they afford it?
What, me?
No, oh, yeah.
Sorry, Anne.
No, that's the real question, I agree.
I went,
Okay.
What's Janet doing in Swindon on a Saturday? Yeah.
Right, time shot. Long and last one from you.